Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to our
Buenas tardes a todos. Quisiera darle la bienvenida a todos.
We have no public comment.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I would like to welcome all of you to our board meeting tonight. To access translation, please click on the globe icon below, or at Dejan, you can go to the corner of the room to get materials. We are returning from closed session. After our opening procedures, the public will have the opportunity to make public comment. The board has changed the public comment format. We have opportunities on non-agenda items in person through the Zoom app and by telephone at the beginning of the meeting. Public comment will last 1 hour. The time allotted for each speaker is 2 minutes. If you are attending the meeting in person, you will need to submit a request to address the board form to indicate your desire to speak on an agenda item. After it's been turned in to staff, they are placed in the order of when they are turned in. We also call on speakers one at a time and alternating between public comment at Dejan and one on Zoom. If participating via Zoom, you will need to raise your hand by clicking the appropriate icon in the Zoom app or by pressing *9 if accessing the meeting by phone. No yielding of time or substitution of speakers permitted. The public will also have the opportunity to make public comment on agenda items after the staff presentation for each discussion and action item. The public will have 10 minutes per item and 1 minute per speaker. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Now let's move to our opening procedures. First, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are willing and able, please rise.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hurst. We are now moving to our land, labor, and body acknowledgement. Staff, do we have the video?
We recognize that we are presently on the lands of the Chochenyo, Hawaiian, Caribbean, and Wabanaki peoples, and acknowledge them as the first inhabitants of the land we currently occupy.
Thank you very much. We're now going to go to our labor and body recognition. I acknowledge that the burden of environmental exploitation and systemic injustice falls upon the labor of Black and brown bodies in the building of this country and its institutions. I remember that Black and brown people were born and died working this land against their will for generations. I also acknowledge the continued contribution of the labor survivors over the centuries to today, of all immigrant labor, including voluntary, involuntary, trafficked, forced, and undocumented peoples in the building of what we refer to as the United States. We are now going to agenda item B4, West Contra Costa Unified School District Board Anti-Racist Statement. The West Contra Costa School District Board of Education is committed to the work of anti-racism, the conscious and active effort to identify, challenge, and correct racial inequities in systems and institutions within our schools and community. Racism, explicit or implicit, stands in direct conflict to the fundamental principles of WCCUSD education. To carry WCCUSD education into the future, we recognize that we must continually renew and reflect on the roots of racism and develop new ideas to meet the times. Unjust ideas and policies and the racial inequity they produce have shaped us, our schools, and our society. We strive to uncover unconscious biases and practice anti-racism as individuals and as board members. We challenge ourselves to persist through the discomfort necessary for growth and learning, to deepen our listening and our examination of racism and oppression, and to develop a strong understanding of how our personal experiences and feelings fit into the larger picture of continual oppression. Each member of the school board, individually and collectively, is responsible for creating and nurturing an anti-racist learning environment where each student, staff member, and community partner is respected and a valued member of WCCUSD community. We are uniquely positioned, and it is our responsibility to identify and dismantle racist ideas and inequitable practices in ourselves and across the district. Therefore, we commit to supporting anti-racist policies, programs, and practices for our children's education and well-being, while building strong and inclusive school communities. We commit to holding each board member accountable towards these goals and moving the work of anti-racism forward. We also commit to holding West Contra Costa Unified School District staff, students, and community to living the standards of anti-racism in our schools. Dr. Hurst, we are now on B5, roll call.
Thank you, ma'am. President Smith Folds,
Good evening, everyone present.
Clerk Gonzalez Hoy,
Good evening, President.
Trustee Reckler,
Good evening, I'm present.
Trustee Christian,
Good evening, President.
Trustee Phillips is absent. Trustee Jorge Espinoza Jr.,
Good evening, President.
Student Trustee Luke Wilson.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hurst. We're now moving to agenda item B6, report and ratification of closed session. Sir, do you have a report out?
Yes, ma'am. Regarding item A 2.2, the board took action to reject claim number 647447 per Government Code guidelines. The board voted as follows. Trustee Christian, yes. Trustee Reckler, yes. President Smith Folds, yes. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, yes, with Trustee Phillips absent. Regarding agenda item A 2.4, the board voted to approve the appointment of Lori Wong Roberts as Chief Technology Officer. The vote was as follows. Trustee Reckler, yes. Trustee Christian, yes. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, yes. President Smith Folds, yes. And with Trustee Phillips absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Please forgive my technology problems. I am trying to log in. Okay. We are now moving to student performance, Washington Elementary School. Ms. Catherine, this is your item, ma'am.
Good evening, President Smith Folds, board members, and members of the community. Tonight, we have a treat planned for you tonight with not just one, but two school performances. And so first up, we'd love to invite Washington Elementary School and welcome to the podium Principal Zapata to introduce her amazing kindergarten students.
Hello, good evening, buenas noches. My name is Karen Zapata. I am the principal at Washington Elementary, and tonight you are going to see our kinder class perform a tango. This is with their amazing teacher, Ms. Paula. The dance was part of our school's Latino Heritage Month, which we don't do small, we do big at Washington. Washington is a very special school in West Contra Costa. We're a dual language. Our entire school is a dual language, bilingual Spanish and English program. And we're so proud of our performers, our kinder performers, and the work of their teacher, Miss Paula. And it's an honor to be here tonight for our superintendent's. I know it's his final meeting, so it's a real honor to be here. So let's welcome them.
Shining bright by daylight. Argentina does it right. Argentina out of sight.
Argentina is located in southern South America. Its motto is En Unión y Libertad. The capital and largest city is Buenos Aires. The official language of Argentina is Spanish or Castellano.
Iguazu Falls, Zhao Zhao at Bariloche, Ushuaia, Nahuel Huapi, the glaciers of El Calafate, Yerba Mate, the vineyards of Cafajate, Facturas, tortas fritas and alfajores. Tango in the night, the valley of the moon shining bright. Buenos Aires by daylight, Argentina does it right. Argentina out of sight.
The 23 provinces of Argentina are Jujuy, Salta, Formosa, Catamarca, Tucumán, Santiago del Estero, Chaco, Corrientes, Misiones, San Juan, La Rioja, Córdoba, Santa Fe, Entre Ríos, Buenos Aires, Mendoza, San Luis, La Pampa, Neuquén, Rio Negro, Chubut, Santa Cruz, and Tierra del Fuego.
Los chalchaleros, los del Fuego en Mercedes Sosa, charango, violin, the drums of Flor de Piedra, Juan Martín del Potro, Lionel Messi, Valeria Mazza, Pope Francis, Maria Casan, Diego Maradona. Tango in the night, the valley of the moon shining bright. Buenos Aires by daylight, Argentina does it right. Argentina out of sight.
What do you call an Argentinian with a rubber toe? Roberto. The population of Argentina is approximately 44 million people. The official unit of currency is the Argentine peso.
Jaguars guanaco, national animal Rufus Hornero. The four-eyed frog, the banjo catfish, pink fairy armadillo. Pears, apples, peach, national flower Erythrina Crista Galli. Potatoes, zucchini, lilies and jacaranda tree. Tango in the night, the valley of the moon shining bright. Buenos Aires by daylight, Argentina does it right. Tango in the night, the valley of the moon shining bright. Buenos Aires Argentina out of sight.
You will not believe what you can find at Michael's this holiday. I know, right?
This Christmas, be legendary. When you give a farm animal or two, you help
Right. Before we get, if everyone could grab their seat. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum. Come on, kids. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum. Bum, ba-da-dum, bum. All right. If I could get some help from our families. Thank you. Okay. So we are incredibly lucky to have one more student performance this evening. So I'd love to please welcome to the podium.
Here, here.
Good evening, everybody. Montalban Manor K-8 is very excited and very grateful to be here tonight. Our Mafanikio program, which has been going strong for many years, is excited to share and sing an amazing song for you tonight. We are excited to share all of the amazing things that our program does for our students. And I'd like to introduce Miss Miller Washington, our teacher lead for our program, to share a little bit more about our program before our students sing for you. Miss Miller Washington.
Hello, hello. Oh, I have the microphone. Hello, everybody. I am Miss Miller Washington, a 17-year teacher in this district. I teach 6th grade math and science at Montalvan. And I am the coordinator of the Monfinicchio Now program at Montalvan. It is our 4th year, and we are so happy to have had it for 4 years. Together, we learn Black history. We learn about the principles of Kwanzaa, and we celebrate Kwanzaa. Together, we build community at our school, and we showcase our community to our school. Together, we build pride in ourselves and in our culture. And today, our students are going to sing for you, Lift Every Voice and Sing, the first stanza of a song that was written in 1900 as a poem at the end of Reconstruction for the birthday of Abraham Lincoln. And later, the poem was turned into a song by the author's brother and was adopted as a song during the Jim Crow era and also again during the civil rights. And we often sing this song before special events in the African-American community. And this is definitely one of our most special events. And I have my students now to come up from Montalvan to sing that first stanza for you. All right. Come on up, you guys. All right. I don't know where we're going. They don't know where they're going. I don't know where they're going. They're going up there. Hey. Oh, go ahead then. That's gonna work. Where do you want it? Okay. All right. Do you want to take that? Josie. So when we go.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready?
You want the mic? Hey, come. Nah, when you stay right here, you can see.
See?
Oh, yeah. Go to sleep.
Right on the pink, right on the pink, you guys. Right there. There you go.
I divide. Oh, yeah, me too. You know the whole song, right? I practiced in the club for the whole ride.
You're facing me. All you have to face me. Or you can line this way. Yeah, line up.
How about right here? Is this good enough for them? Right here?
Back up a little bit. Like maybe
Right. No, he wants us to like.
Okay, so Mrs. Monty, be the other end of the point, and then you guys have the end. I need you.
Hello. Okay. Wait, testing. You'll know.
Go down there.
Testing, test.
Yes, this way, guys.
Okay, we gotta start.
I mean, you're gonna have to move your camera. All right, we'll make that one work.
Go.
All right, you guys ready? You're being very patient. Thank you so much. All right, thank you guys. Okay, just feel free to. All right, ready?
Put the mic in like in the middle a little bit. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let us wait loud, loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let it resound loud as the voice. That was wonderful. We did it. Wonderful.
All right, you guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right, thank you so very much. Thank you to Washington Elementary School and Montalvin Manor. Ms. Catherine, thank you so much for arranging this. Principals, thank you so much. Parents, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. We're gonna let parents take the little bitties home if they have to take them home because we know that it can be a long board meeting. So if you just give us one more second. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a 5-minute recess. Trustee Phillips is en route, and we want to make sure that he's here for this next section of the agenda. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. We will return at 7:05. Thank you, everyone.
President Smith Folds asked me to lead the next item, which is our recognitions. Tonight, we are recognizing three very important individuals. We are recognizing Trustee Christian, Trustee Phillips, and our Superintendent, Dr. Hurst, for their service to our district. Trustee Christian, Trustee Phillips, and Dr. Hurst, on behalf of the board, staff, and our community, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your commitment to our kids. We know that being in these positions is incredibly difficult. At times, we feel powerless to create change. Change that takes a lot of time and education, but the urgency is of yesterday. You all have made a difference, and we thank you. All of you have made professional and personal sacrifices to do this work. Whether missing your kid's birthday party to attend a meeting or had to resign a good and stable job to do advocacy in this level. Our community thanks you tonight for your sacrifice and for your commitment. And as part of our thank you, we have a few plaques for you guys. I would like to read all of them, and then we're gonna take a picture. This one is for Trustee Phillips. It says, in recognition of your years of service and dedication to the children of the West Contra Costa Unified School District since 2016. Can I please give him a hand of applause? The next one is for Trustee Christian. In recognition of your years of service and dedication to the children of the West Contra Costa Unified School District since 2020, please give a hand to Trustee Christian. And the last one. This one's for Dr. Hurst. Dr. Hurst, Superintendent, in recognition of your years of service, dedication to our students and staff of the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Please, let's give him a hand as well. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down, take a picture with everyone on your plaques. We're gonna come back, and then each one of you is gonna get time to share thoughts and reflection with us and the community. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, and congratulations to the three of you. Now you get some time, if you have any thoughts. We also obviously have our ending comments. And the president is giving you 3 minutes instead of 2, so watch out. But any of you would like to go first? If you don't have any, that's okay, but. Dr. Hurst, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to first take the opportunity to thank the full board. I know it was the board's decision to bring me on board, myself and my wife. This was an opportunity that we prayed for. I'm not shy to say that, to work within a community that we could serve. So first, I want to express my thanks to the full board. There's been a lot that's happened over the past 3.5 years, a number of accomplishments, and I thought I would just share a few of them with you because I think it's worth mentioning. But I couch this with saying that I understand that this was not me, this was a collective impact to make all of this happen. So one of the things that happened when I first got here was the equity audit, and we know that led to the strategic plan. We're proud to say that we now have a refreshed mission, vision, core values, graduate profile skills, and skills of a caring adult as well. I think I'm most proud, though, of the work that we've done together around anti-racism, and it's been really extensive. And I wanted to take a moment just to highlight that work. We've had work with the board, executive cabinet. We have 16 immersive schools, and they are creating a plan to address racism, and they're putting that within their SPSAs. We have advisory groups established to continue the work once Dr. Roger Ard leaves. We have student conferences, student summits in place. We have an anti-racism policy now, and in tonight's agenda, we'll be discussing an anti-slur policy. We also have every leader, every principal created an anti-racism message and delivered that message as well. Other things I think we're proud of is our reduction in vacancies from 143 to 64, which is about 55% over the past 3 years, and 20% for classified. A decrease in chronic absenteeism from 34% when I first got here to 21%. That's a difference of 3,380 students, by the way. Also, an increase in middle and high school connections and meaningful participation, perceived school safety, and caring adult relationships. And finally, I wanted to highlight also a reduction in out-of-school suspensions, 358 when I first got here, down to 236. But I say this to say that none of this progress would be possible without any of you. It takes collective impact to address complex organizational issues and to move a complex system. So I'd like to use this time to say thank you for this great opportunity to serve as your superintendent. Specifically, again, I want to thank okay, thank you. I want to thank our president for your unapologetic commitment and advocacy for all kids, especially our Black kids, and for having a big heart for us. And we see that in every meeting. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, thank you for your intentionality and your calm leadership, your wisdom, and our personal conversations. I appreciate you and our friendship that we have. Trustee Christian, thank you for your faith, your spirit, your sincere desire to affect change, especially in your area, sir. For Trustee Phillips, thank you for your wisdom, for your friendship, for constantly keeping before me to always stand on my beliefs, values, and what's right for students, and constantly reminding me to be the superintendent. And I have to admit, I didn't understand that when we had our initial conversations, but I get it. And I appreciate that. And for Trustee Reckler, you know, sometimes we kid a lot about all of the questions that you ask, but I really appreciate your questions. They're really tough questions, but they're designed to make us better. I'd like to say thank you to my community, all of our employees, Rosa, Genesis, Nancy, who's not here, security, translation, our CSs, all of our amazing principals, our managers, our leaders, and especially this great team that's sitting before me. I've said it time and time again. This is the best executive team that I've had the opportunity to work with. I want to call your names out. I'll have more to say later on, but thank you, Dr. Moses, Dr. Johnson, Catherine, Summer, Melissa, Mr. Booker, Guthrie, and congratulations, Guthrie, by the way, Rochelle, Laurie, and even Ellen. I wish nothing but the best for WCCUSD. And Dr. Moses, please know that I'm available for you anytime for anything. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Right, trustee Christian, or trustee Phillips, trustee Christian? Okay, go ahead.
First, I would just like to take this time to thank everyone who supported me throughout my 4 years of being in office. Back in 2020, the beginning of becoming the school board trustee. But at first, I also like to thank also Mr. Phillips, who actually encouraged me to run. And not only that, but he helped me to run. And I just want to thank him for all the work he did for me to help me out. And I appreciate all the things he has done and will always be appreciative. As I look at the 4 years being in office, it was a challenge. We learned a lot. We was on training wheels, come off the training wheel. But I appreciate all the community who supported me and those who worked with me. And I thank everyone for encouraging me to continue to push forward. Being on the board is, I care about our kids in this district, our students, all of our students. I started from El Cerrito High School, was dedicated campus safety officer at El Cerrito High School. I was dedicated. And I made sure that I worked with every student. I didn't discriminate, didn't make no difference in students. I treated everybody the same, and I showed love to everybody. And you know, now I'm transitioning, going to another field. I would become a teacher. Thank you, Lord. And I'm gonna be the best teacher there is. I'm gonna be dedicated in servicing our kids, empowering our young people to go to the next level. And I'm gonna be the best. I'm going to just not look back, but look forward. And just to say to the board, Trustee Reckler, I appreciate you. We went to the CSBA conference. I appreciate that. We learned a lot and we got a lot of information, and not only that, but we communicated and connected with one another. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, I appreciate you a whole lot. You was my clerk and I was the board president. Wow, man, you know, but you helped me. And you have a lot of info, you have a lot of knowledge, and you've been around to know how to put it together. You're doing a good job, man. Keep it up. And clerk, President Smith-Fold, I appreciate you because me and you communicate and you always encourage me. You have what it takes to be the best that you can be. I thank you for everything that you said to me, and I cherish all of those words. Dr. Hurst, I appreciate you. Yes, we were the board that hired Dr. Hurst, and I appreciate our communication and many things that we have communicated about, and I thank you and also being the superintendent here, and also I appreciate you for everything you have done. And to my student trustees, I'm gonna miss you guys. Well, no, I'm gonna still be around. But you too, are real cool, and you're ready to go, you're ready to learn, and I appreciate you guys too. And so, and once again, Trustee Phillips, I appreciate you too, man. And it's so much to be grateful for, and I'm thankful for all the help that I have received. And so, I just want to, it just brings tears to my eyes, and to the cabinet and to everybody. I appreciate all of you guys, because you guys work hard and diligently, and making sure that things are put together. And I thank you for everything that you do, because your work doesn't go unlooked. You are working hard. And they're my good friend, Mr. Booker. Appreciate you, man. We go back a long ways. So, to everybody, I love WCCUSD. And I also want to say congratulations to the new board members that will be coming aboard, starting on the 18th. And congratulations to those, to our two new school board members. You have a lot of tasks at hand, a lot of work to do, as you come on board. And so, so to the community of Richmond, Area 2, I appreciate all those who supported me in this election. And thank you. I'm sorry I took so long, but my heart is overwhelmed. And I love everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Christian. Trustee Phillips.
Thank you. It has always been my desire to be of service to my community, and I have prayed to be in a position to be of service. So I want to start by thanking God for giving me the desires of my heart and keeping me in check to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I also would like to thank my wife and my children. I have more children now than when I got on the board. But my wife and my children dropped me off here 8 years ago for my swearing in. And they're here now, so to take me home. So Angela and Marist and Sterling and Amanzi, I love you very much. I am very grateful and thankful to all of you for allowing me to be away as much as I have been to do this work. So I appreciate you and I thank you. And I will say that my biggest campaign supporter has always been my wife, even before we were married. So thank you so much, Angela. And to the residents of West Contra Costa Unified School District, when I got on this board, we were still at large. So I have received votes from all over this quarter of the county. And, I thank God for the opportunity to serve. And I thank God for my family. But I also thank God for you all because the Lord wasn't the one knocking on those doors for me and donating to my campaign. And my family did knock on all of those doors and donate all that money to all of those campaigns. The residents of West Contra Costa did in my current district and at large. And I just want to say I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And I thank you too for giving me the opportunity to serve this community just like my father did and my mother did. They were peace officers in this community. And I am proud to keep up that tradition. So thank you for trusting me, quite frankly, with the most important possession that you have, and that's your children. So thank you for that. Thank you to Dr. Hurst. I want to say I appreciate you very much for coming here and changing your life to be in this space, you and your wife. I want to say thank you very much to my colleagues, not just on this board, but on previous boards as well. I have learned a lot. I have gotten a lot of lessons since I've been here, gotten a lot of gray hair since I've been here too. But a lot of lessons and a lot of relationship, and I'm thankful for that. And last but not least, I want to say thank you to all of the staff because the truth is, we're the ones that are on TV, but you're the ones that are in the classrooms, and you're the ones that are downtown at the administration building. You're the ones really who do all the heavy lifting. And every single one of you in this room has made a huge impact. And I just want to say I appreciate you. And this is my community. I'm still here. I'm not going away. If there's something I can assist with, let me know. But I promise I won't call in the board meetings and tell you all what to do and say, hey, you should do it this way. That's it. You know, I chose not to run again. And I'm not going to try to govern from the next phase of my life. But I want to say thank you very much for your commitment to these children, which include my children because they attend this district. There's always more to say, but I'm going to stop now. Thank you for the time to express myself, and thank you for the opportunity to serve all these years.
Thank you, Trustee Phillips. President, I'll pass it on to you for the next item.
Thank you so very much. We are moving to agenda item B10, WCCUSD public comment, how to address the board. Members of the public are invited to speak to the board about any matter that is not otherwise on the agenda and is related to issues affecting public education in WCCUSD. Public comment will last approximately 60 minutes. The time allotted for each speaker is 2 minutes. Individuals wishing to speak must submit a WCCUSD public comment form, or if participating via Zoom, individuals will need to raise their hand. Due to the Brown Act, board members cannot discuss items that are not on the agenda and do not usually respond to items presented in public comment. Staff, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we, excuse me.
I'm so sorry. I'm a hot mess. Dr. Hurst, you wanted to make an announcement or have an announcement made, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Madam President. I would like to have Ellen Mejia Hooper just kind of give us an update on what's happening at Richmond High School, facilities, lights, and field.
Good evening, Community Board. Yes, my name is Ellen Mejia Hooper. I'm the Director of Facilities Planning and Construction. And I would like to report tonight that the Richmond Field depression that we had in the corner by the corner kick area, the subsurface was repaired today. Tomorrow, they will be coming back out to put back down the safety mat as well as the field carpet and the infill. So the field itself will be usable by the end of the week. So that's great news. I know there is also a concern over the lights. We do have a contractor under contract now to make that repair. The materials are being ordered, and as soon as the materials are in, those repairs will also be completed. We also are in the process of purchasing gold.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hurst. Thank you, Ms. Hooper. Staff, I'm sorry, we are now ready for public comment. Thank you for that.
Our first public comment is Duvaria Wright.
Trustee Phillips, will you help right here? Make sure that the baby can, there it is. Okay, thank you. I think you got it. Okay, go ahead, Fran, you on.
Hi, my name is Duvaria Wright.
I'm in the second grade, and I heard that Mosnico is going to get closed. And Mosnico is not just about learning Black history; it's about doing art, having fun, learning games, watching movies, doing projects, and it's so much fun. And every kid likes it. And if somebody blocks down Mosnico, then the kids will not be happy. So what I just want to say is, please do not block Mosnico. That's done. I'm done.
Next public comment is Tanetta Thompson. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening, board, and well wishes and best of luck to Dr. Hurst and Mr. Christian. What I want to say is, and I've been saying this repeatedly at every board meeting, is that this whole attack on El Cerrito High School's football team is based on a white family's word, and that their word is law. That Black families are not allowed to be homeless. They are not allowed to be in transitional housing. This is all a fishing expedition because this white family didn't get their way and used deceitful tactics to play sports at El Cerrito and basically destroyed a community. No one in the district right now or league is in the playoffs. Our own area board member for being a whistleblower. Mr. Phillips is the only one to take a stand against the unjust acts of Malcolm Norrington. There are over 20 Title IX complaints against Mr. Norrington, and yet he is not put on leave. This same principal called me a pit bull, which is another word for a female dog, for advocating for our coach. But you all put other staff on leave for a conspiracy because you believe that I received information that I spoke about at the board meeting and sent to Mr. Phillips. How did I know that the district requested athletes of the football team's addresses? Because I sat in with the district lawyer and the district AD, and these parents told me because your own lawyer contacted them. It's not rocket science to decide how I got this information. But yet, and the district AD is also communicating with the parents per Dr. Hurst's instructions. You are also telling our coaching staff that kids are ineligible to play, and really going to the kids and telling them and saying that we're looking at your addresses, running their addresses, and telling families that you're looking at their utility bills and popping up at their homes. So now I know that every time I speak at these meetings and explore and expose the corruptness and illegal tactics of the district, you all will then retaliate against an employee. I sent board member Phillips an email on November 4th about the illegal tactics used to access our kids' addresses, asking him to help. I spoke about it at our board meeting. If you thought I got the information from this employee on October 22nd.
Our next public comment is Salon Harrison.
Hey, good evening, board. How y'all doing? Get my life together right quick. So, everybody leaving, and I feel a little abandoned. I got attachment disorders, and the people that stand, y'all cool. But I want to just take this time as a parent and tell Mr. Phillips, thank you so much for all you've done. You helped me when I started off in this journey, and we've been on a long path, seeing each other's children and just all the work that we had to do, and while the children grew. And thank you for all that you've done to serve on our board and to make changes for our students. I want to thank Eltha Reed for what he's done the 4 years that he's been on here, and how he's contributed to the APAC and the support he's given us. And I want to thank Dr. Hurst for doing what you could with a district that had a whole bunch of shenanigans going on before you sat in the seat. So thank you for doing the best you could to try to straighten things up. And for the rest of the board that's left to deal with the shenanigans and coming on to deal with shenanigans, I will be coming to y'all in different capacity. I'm on 8 of y'all parent committees in y'all district, which is overwhelming. So I will be kind of pulling back a little bit. And I just want to say, when you come somewhere, you want to leave it better. When you leave, you want to leave it better. And I thank all that you all have done, because you all have made a way to leave it better. I now see Ruby Bridges signs on Lupine schools. I now see Black African American history Month flags and banners at schools, we now have more sites recognizing Black parents and Black students, which wasn't happening. And the staff that did contribute to that, I want to thank them, because you guys are the leaders, so you guys have people under you working really hard to support parents and students. It's definitely not enough, and it's still a lot more work that needs to be done, but you all won't be here in the same capacity to see us do it, but I want to thank you. But
Our next our next public comment is Rodney Alamo Brown. Please unmute yourself.
I'd like to say good evening, board. To those that are leaving the board, may you continue upon your future endeavors. Those who are coming on the board, I wish you well indeed. I want to speak about the resolution that we're assuming is coming forth on December 18th concerning Steve School. As we all know, that is a work that needs to be done and complete. And I'm hoping that Mr. Hoy will lead or continue to lead in this particular item so that we can get this finished and complete as a community. Also, I do know that Dr. Hurst was under immense pressure as the superintendent of our board. There were a lot of things that he wanted to achieve. Unfortunately, he couldn't achieve, whether time permitted or otherwise. But I want to salute Doc for hanging in there and doing as best as he possibly could. Brother O3, thank you, sir, for serving as well. I know times get tough and things can become a little inundated at times, but you hung in there and did as possible as the best that you possibly could. Mr. Phillips, thank you for being informative, educating the community about issues that we didn't know about, and always there when I call. To the rest of you, continue to serve. Hang in there. I know it's tough, but at the same token, hey, we all we got, we all we need. God bless you all. Good night.
Our next public comment is Rosie Hernandez.
Hi, good evening. My name is Rosie Hernandez. I was here a couple of weeks ago with the Richmond High School soccer teams, coaches, and parents. And thank you so much for the update. That's actually why I was sent here. I'm here to representing the 5 different teams and the varsity coach, Renee Siles, and to thank you because the work did start today. The sinkhole was being repaired today, and it looks like they will be back tomorrow. There is still the issue with the lights and with the goals, but we thank you. It's amazing that you were able to hear us and that our parents came together, our players came together, and that this means so much for our community and for just our entire district. And so we really, really want to thank you. It's not always that you get positive feedback, so we definitely want to be here and let you know. So yeah, we hope you come out and see our games. So thank you.
And our last public comment is Peter Best.
Hello, board. Cabinet? Y'all the cabinet? Okay, I just learned something today. I'm Peter Best. I'm a partner as well as a parent at Montalvan Manor Elementary School. And I just want to stress the importance of the Mafanikio program for our African-American students. And not only for our African-American students, but also for our entire culture and community there. Not only do our students, our African-American students, get to be together and learn about their culture and share their experience together, but they also get to share those experiences with staff and other students. And also keeping in mind how we're always trying to push push our anti-racism in schools and remind others to look into other cultures and accept other experiences. The Mafanikio program has done that for the last 4 years at Montalvan. Personally, My kids came home last week after their first week at Mafanikio this year, saying they want to celebrate Kwanzaa now. So just the impact it's having on them and the impact it's had on our community is very, very important. And I just wanted to make sure I took the time to stay and advocate for Ms. Miller Washington, our families, our community, and our students at Montalvan. So thank you all.
Sorry. Thank you very much for your public comment. We really appreciate it. We are now moving to our stand-in reports. The first stand-in report we have is from UTR. UTR, would you like to have your turn, please?
Good evening, board, trustees, and Superintendent Hurst, community, and cabinet. My name is Francisco Ortiz. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Ford Elementary. Currently on release to serve as the president of United Teachers of Richmond. First, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank trustees Christian and Phillips for their services to our community. Being a public official is challenging and often a thankless endeavor. And UTR educators appreciates your dedication and hard work over the last 4 and 8 years, respectively. We wish you and your families all the best as you enter the next chapters of your lives. Additionally, we extend our gratitude to Dr. Hurst for his service as superintendent over the past 4 years. We congratulate you on your upcoming retirement, and we wish you health and happiness in this new phase of life. Now, I'd like to transition to share some more serious concerns on behalf of UTR members and the students that we serve. At Stige Elementary, educators are being denied access to instructional materials they have purchased over the years to enrich their students' learning. The districts demand that these educators produce receipts for materials bought out of their own pockets, often years ago, is both unreasonable and unfair. These materials were purchased to fill gaps where the district support fell short. And our students are now the ones who are paying the price for these bureaucratic barriers. After a meeting held with Stige educators, there was a promise of a follow-up meeting with cabinet and high-level staff. However, that secondary meeting didn't occur. They received notification of this decision on a Sunday email before break. Our students and our educators deserve better, and these types of actions lead to resentful feelings of disinvestment and devaluement. Next, I also want to address the multilingual counseling grant that is designated or designed to provide mental health counselors to the Kennedy and the Richmond High families of schools. And this would also establish Stige as the first elementary school in West Contra Costa Unified School District with a mental health counselor. This is inexplicably stalled in business services. UTR, WCAA have completed every step that's requested by the district, yet we continue to face barriers in getting this critical funding released. Families at Kennedy and Richmond High are waiting. Stige students are waiting. Every day that these mental health supports are not moved forward, our students are denied mental health support that they urgently need and deserve. Finally, I want to again bring attention to the vacancy crisis that continues to destabilize our schools. There are currently 80 certificated vacancies across the district and 260 classified vacancies, including over 130 special education paraprofessionals alone. These numbers are staggering. Every unfilled position represents a classroom without a teacher, a special education student without support, and the school community stretched thin. The district must act with urgency to address this issue and this crisis. We really can't wait. Our students, families, and educators deserve a district that prioritizes equity and stability. These issues, such as denying the access to the instructional materials at Stige, delaying critical mental health supports, and failing to address the vacancy crisis, demand immediate attention and action. We hope that you will join us on this fight together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next standing report is from Asset.
Good evening, board. Thank you for calling us up. My name is Alon Harrison, and if y'all didn't know that, I just wanted to be official. And I am the chair of ASAT. And what we are experiencing right now is kind of a different transition, also of what we can expect going forward for the rest of the school year. And I have seen some different things. I was in a presentation yesterday. The Elders Council invited me to that the cabinet level did for support for our Black students. I want to say I was totally and completely impressed and anxious for the rest of the ASAT and APAC parents to see this presentation. It shows that the district is seeing us. It shows that the district is thinking about all children, including Black children. And I feel that this is something that all the parents that have students who identify as Black and African American need to see, that our district is seeing our parents, not just really seeing the parents, but they're setting up structure to see our children and educate our children, getting our children reading and doing math at a level that they can be productive citizens, that they can go to college. And addressing the college and career was a big piece for me, getting our students ready to go to HBCUs and then coming back here and having counselors that are ready to support them. So I was very impressed, and I hope that that presentation that they showed with the Elders Council will be available to other parents to see and for other community members to see. That was very impactful, and I think the district needs to highlight that more. Also, I did hear about Stage having a resolution. The Black parents and Black and African American parents would like to know how is parents' voice going to be part of the Stage resolution. There are parent groups there that I feel should have input, and I feel that we've done several resolutions before, and I was told by the last superintendent that a resolution is just in good spirit. So how do we know that this resolution will not just be in good spirit? And I feel that this district has done the Stage family and community injustice. And I feel that the people that will be sitting on this board should do something about it, not looking back at the past, but looking at the future on what can we do to brighten the future for that community and our future students. We cannot get doctors, lawyers, scholars, artists, architects out of an inhabitable school. And moving them to a school that wasn't meant for them to be there is not going to do it either. So I hope that you guys have some compassion and make this a priority. If it's a resolution, I feel it needs to be a policy. You guys need to be held accountable to do this. And if all you guys don't come back tomorrow, God forbid, that whoever sits their butts in these seats will do it because they have to, not because it felt good and it was a resolution, because we've seen that those sometimes don't work like they're supposed to. And another part I would like to get a lot of support on is when you do your professional developments, parents would like to see how those are being effective for the educators and the children in the classroom. So if you guys can come up with more creative ways to share that out when educators are taking professional development classes, and the district is spending a lot of money on professional developments. Parents don't understand how that's affecting our children and how that's really going to change outcomes, whether it be a curriculum training or social and emotional training. And also, one more thing I feel is really important. I was in a couple of meetings and working and supporting people, families in the community as a resource parent. I would like to see programs set up for gifted preschool children, because we have a way to expel and suspend our preschool children, but we don't have a way to celebrate or advance them when they're gifted. All of them don't go into preschool just drawing circles and coloring. Some of them know how to read and need to be more challenged, and there's nothing in place in our district to support that. So I would like to see our district be innovative and do something that we can do that to support our gifted preschool children that may need other options. Okay, I'm complete. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. asset. We are now moving on to agenda review and adoption. Board, or any changes to the agenda? Clerk
Pres-
Gonzalez Hoy?
Thank you, President. I just want to remind you that we are removing item B13 from the agenda.
Thank you, that is correct. I appreciate that. Thank you for that reminder. Any other corrections or additions or changes? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted with the removal of B13, pulling it, I'm sorry, Trustee Reckler, go ahead.
I'm sorry, may we remove Verkada from the superintendent's report and move it to discussion item?
Repeat that, please.
May we please remove Verkada from the superintendent's report and move it to a discussion item? Point of order, I'm so sorry, I can't hear you.
I was asking the superintendent is if he's okay keeping it under his superintendent report because we had the opportunity to ask questions in closed session. So have discussion and ask questions in closed session. So I think it's okay and appropriate to keep it under here because we are still allowed to ask questions under the report.
But we can't have discussion and make comments.
No. Okay. We can't make comments under the report. Okay. Seeing no objection, Trustee Reckler, thank you for that, but we're going to keep it under the superintendent's report. Seeing no other corrections or objections, the agenda is adopted. We are now moving to consent items. Do we have any consent items that need to be pulled? Trustee Reckler, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Ratified contracts, just the whole ratified contracts for comment. And then that would be C10, and then C12, revised bylaw 9150, student board members.
Okay, anything else? Okay, seeing none, the consent item is approved with removing items C10 and C12. Okay, Dr. Hurst, we are now on superintendent communication. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Can we pull up the presentation, please? I can pull it up. Thank you. Thank you. Next slide. We wanted to share a few memoriams that we have. The district would like to take time to recognize the contributions of members of our school community who've passed away. First, we have Lawrence Williams. I regret to inform you that Mr. Lawrence Williams, a teacher at De Anza High School, passed away. He started teaching in 2006 at Pinole Valley High School. In 2016, he transferred to Kennedy High and then to De Anza High School. Our thoughts and prayers goes out to the Williams families and friends. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And next slide. We have another memoriam, Mr. Mark Armin. We regret to inform you of the passing of Mr. Mark Armin, a special education teacher at Hercules Middle School and a deeply valued member of the Titan community. Mr. Armin began his WCCUSD career in 2005, teaching at Korematsu Middle School, Helms Middle School, Pinole Middle School, and Hercules Middle School before retiring in August 2024. We appreciate the contributions he's made within our community. Again, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And then also, we had shared this into the last board meeting, but we have a correction. Ms. Deborah Britton. We regret to inform you that Ms. Deborah Britton, an English teacher at Helms Middle School, recently passed away. The correction is prior to the Helms, Ms. Britton also taught at Adams Middle School. We appreciate her commitment to student excellence and achievement within the Helms and Adams Middle School community and within the district. Again, please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you so much. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Just look at this picture, everyone. Miss Lori Wong Roberts. She exudes enthusiasm, energy, motivation. And I just have to share this story about Miss Lori. When she became a member of our executive team, she came up to me and said, "Hey, Dr. Hurst, did you know that I used to be a mascot?" And I said, "Excuse me?" And then she says, "Yeah, I was a lion." And I was wondering, where is this going? And then she said, "I want to have us huddle up before we start the school year." I was like, "Okay." And she literally gathered the entire team that you see there, had us gather in a circle, and she was our little cheerleader. She was cheering us on to start the school year off right. And then to close, I mean, she was all in. And then she had us put our hands in, and then WCC on 3, and we raised our hands up. It was truly amazing. But I'll share with you, that's who Lori has been for us. She's inspirational. She's motivational. She is a leader. She's dynamic. And we wanted to take an opportunity, Miss Laurie, to recognize you and to honor you for who you are. Can you please come forward to receive some flowers? Thank you so much, Laurie, for your leadership. We appreciate you. Our next slide, we want to recognize December 6th through the 12th as Computer Science Education Week and really uplift STEM, but specifically computer programming. And then also there's some ways to celebrate that we put in here. We put in some resources. We put in also a free virtual kickoff event hosted by Computer Science Teachers Association on Monday, December the 12th at 4 p.m. And then also inviting you to join in a global hour of code on Tuesday, December the 10th. Our next slide is in recognition of Special Education Day, December the 2nd, 2024. This commemorates the historic signing of our nation's first federal special education law, which is the Individuals with Disability Education Act, IDEA, by President Ford in 1975. This groundbreaking legislation guaranteed access to public education for all eligible children with disabilities and ensured they receive necessary supports for their learning and development. And then also, December the 3rd is International Day of People with Disabilities. And also it says in 1992, the United Nations proclaimed December the 3rd as a day about promoting the rights and well-being of persons with disability at every level of society and development and to raise awareness. So we wanted to lift that up as well. And then also, we always want to share about our parent advisory committees. And we have information here on our APACs, ASAT, DLCAP, our MDAC, our CACs, our DLI PAC, our CBOC, and our 711 committee. That concludes our superintendent report, and we do have a presentation from Vakata that we want to go into, and we're going to introduce Ms. Summer Sigler and Mr. Michael Booker for that presentation.
Good evening, Dr. Hurst, Board President, Clerk, and trustees. This evening, we're going to be presenting the Verkada Guest Management and Volunteer Clearance System presentation. Next slide, please. I will give a brief overview with regard to the visitor management. As far as the volunteer clearance goes, Ms. Summer Sigler will give that portion. The Verkada presentation will be done by Brendan Haley, who is the account manager from Verkada. And then at the end, we'll talk about the workplace cost for this platform. Next slide, please. The Verkada Guest Management Overview. The Verkada Guest Management System includes an optional security screening feature that allows administrators to enhance visitor screening by checking them against sexual offender registries and criminal databases. This alerts staff to potential risks to children, students, and personnel. By using Verkada Guest for electronic screening, schools can collect more detailed information, improving their ability to manage site access and ensure safety. For the next slide, Ms. Sigler will talk about the volunteer management system.
Good evening, Dr. Hurst and board. So this system has streamlined our ability to process volunteer applications. Parents and guardians can now apply through an online portal that screens their driver's license, consulate card ID against a number of databases. And so it does take staff manpower to clear and do a check, but the actual processing and background check can be done in minutes, which is an improvement of waiting weeks before for results to return. Next slide, please. So the Family Engagement Office is currently doing our clearing of volunteered. Once cleared, parents receive a QR code that they take to the school, and that QR code actually can be scanned and show that they are cleared as a volunteer. Where we used to hand out the plastic badges, they can get a visitor's pass now for the day. This system also will allow us to, without undue duress to our families, allow people to reapply annually, which is really important for our safety and the safety of our students. Next slide, please. There have been some bumps in the rollout and some learning curves. So we went back through the system to see really what are the common errors? Why are people, when they get rejected, typically being rejected? So the most common errors we found were that the driver's license photo is not clear and or the address is hard to read. So we do have to have a clear image of that driver's license. In some cases, an ID was not uploaded at all. And the system does ask that you take a selfie and you put your driver's license so that there's a check that it's the same person. In some cases, the selfie doesn't show the whole face or it's not clear. So those are the most common errors, or just that the application itself was incomplete. In those cases, the FACE team is working to get emails to let people know why their application was rejected. Next slide, please. We just want to talk for a second about visitor management versus volunteer system. The functionality is a little bit different. Obviously, we want volunteers who are with students often to be cleared and fingerprinted. But the visitor management system itself will actually allow us to know who and how often people are entering our buildings and at what frequency. We will now have the data to know how many volunteers or visitors, either or, enter our building, at what frequency, and if there is any sort of safety concern, have a digital record of who was where. And this type of information is invaluable when we think about the safety of our students. So really, visitor management tracks those visiting. I came, there's a Halloween parade, there's a class party. I'm here for today, not just as a volunteer. And volunteer, we're tracking the volunteering and the more continuous access to our students. Next slide, please. So we really appreciate our new partnership, and Brendan Haley, we would like to introduce our representative from Verkada, who's been incredibly responsive and supportive.
Can you click on the link, please?
Thank you, Summer. Thank you, Mr. Booker. Good evening, Dr. Hurst, members of the board and the cabinet. Really honored to be here tonight. It's really been a joy working with your district, and I've seen some familiar faces like Ellen, and not surprised of the work she's doing on the soccer field. As far as the Verkada presentation goes, I'm just going to give an overview on the system. Yeah, you can go back a couple slides. That's actually perfect. To talk a little bit about Verkada, when we started, this is us pre-COVID. We've been around since 2016. We've been the fastest growing physical security company in the world, fastest growing cloud-based security company in the world as well. And if you want to click twice forward, we'll show you where we are today. One more time, right there. As of today, we actually have over 28,000 organizations, companies, Fortune 500 companies, and school districts around the country and world that trust us with their security. And what this presentation is about tonight is really about student safety. Next slide, please. This is the platform of Verkada, so we don't just do visitor management. We don't just do volunteer check-in. We do a lot more than that. We do it through a single pane of glass. So you guys, the district actually already uses our cameras in some locations. And now it was a transition into the visitor management. I'm sure you've seen in other districts, if you guys have visited, they'll take your ID, they'll have you type in some information, and it's kind of going away from the days of signing your name in on a piece of paper, where we don't really know where those papers go. No one's going to go through a year's worth of a log of 55 different schools and read who's actually visiting. But with our database, you can track those visitors for an entire year. It'll have a log for you with a lot of data points. How often people are visiting, what kind of visitors are you getting? And also the most important piece is doing a background check, right? So as a father of two, I understand I want to make sure that the people visiting my children's school are cleared. And that's what we're doing. We're really just giving you the information and you guys can take action on that. Next slide, please. Once again, this is just a platform overview. Everything that we make and create is seamlessly integrated together. So whether it's visitor management in our cameras, access control in our cameras, it all plays in together, right? So there's a lot of cost benefits to it that I'm not going to get into right now. I'm going to stick to the points. But having one cohesive system is really where we're going. Next slide, please. One more time. And next slide. So this is what it looks like. Right now, as you guys visit your schools, I'm sure you guys are signing in on the piece of paper like I mentioned. This is going to be just a digital record, right? So I would come in, click on, visit, volunteer, guest, whatever it may be, fill out the questionnaire that the district has decided to put in there, scan my ID, and within a few seconds, you'll be cleared to, have a badge printed for you and be on your way to, help with your class, pick up a kid, drop off lunch, whatever it may be. It's actually a pretty simple process. And once we get the iPads out on the schools, you'll feel free to check in yourself and you'll be able to go through and see what the visitor system is really like. But really it's taking it from paper and putting it in a digital record. That's and running a background check. That's the most important keys to it. Next slide, please. One more time. Like I mentioned, it's going to modernize your systems and your facilities as well. It'll have, bringing technology and security to your visitors. You'll also have the ability to check in ahead of time. So when you do go to the iPad, you can scan a QR code and you'll be pre-vetted and it'll have a badge printed out for you. It's going to also, we have, like I said, our cameras at some of your facilities already. So it'll be able to seamlessly integrate those cameras and show you video feeds on where your visitors are going. We've had certain school districts tell us, hey, we found people that have checked in with your system and going into closets that they're not supposed to be in, areas that they're not supposed to be in, and it actually gave them insight and they were able to talk to those visitors and fix the issue. Next slide, please. Guest uses specifically for K through 12. Verkada is in over 30% of the school districts around the country in some form of capacity. Kind of the same things that we talked about, instant background checks, SIS integration. So for your secretaries that want to run reports and check it against your, whether it's Clever or whatever your SIS system may be, you can actually, for the older students, come in and say, hey, I'm tardy. And they can even print them out tardy slips as well. So there's a lot of different capabilities built into the system. And obviously, the most important thing is protecting the students, not only their physical safety, but their privacy as well. Next slide, please. This is a good look at what the background check will look like on the secretary's point of view. So let's say, someone comes in, scans their ID, and they get a hit, right? This is what's going to pop up on the secretary's screen. It's not going to alert the individual who's checking in. The secretary will be able to cross-reference the ID with the picture and make sure, the dates match up, the physical picture matches up. It's pretty easy to notice when someone's checking in with an ID. A person checking in the ID is 55 years old and this person's in their, early 30s. It also give you the information right there on the spot. And at that point, if it's a match, you continue to hit it and you'll understand why that person is being denied. So I've been working with Mr. Booker, whatever is up to, it's up to the district to decide what they want to do with that information, who they want to let in and out, and how they want to go about the business of denying somebody. But that is the feature that a lot of school districts are using and what we're excited to bring to the table to ensure the safety for your students and your staff. Next slide, please. That concludes the visitor management portion of it. For the volunteer portion, I think Summer was going to talk about that. But really nice to be here tonight. Congratulations, Dr. Hurst and the other board members on a great tenure, and look forward to the continued partnership. Thank you.
And we did cover the volunteer portion. So that concludes our presentation.
We'll turn it back over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions? We're going to do 3 questions, no comments on the superintendent's report. I see Trustee Reckler, you have your 3 questions, please.
Thank you. So for the Verkada rep, thank you for being here. Just recently, this year, a couple of months ago, Verkada was through the Justice Department and the FTC fined $2.95 million penalty for, a number of serious infractions. The one I'm most concerned about is HIPAA. And we're a school district. HIPAA is very important to us. So what were the changes that were made to the system and how can we ensure the data is safe?
Thank you for your question. What I was going to present if a question like that came up was actually a reading from our website and our actual legal response. I would suggest on that one, since I don't have access to bring it up, I would suggest Googling Verkada settlement, and you'll see our website and our legal team's response to that. But if I could kind of put it in bullet points, I want to make sure I'm speaking clearly on this. That settlement came in early 2021. We had about 6,000 organizations, and it was regarding our marketing practices over emails, and then also a data breach. So that data breach took place when we had 6,000 customers, I think it was like 90 or 91 customers. A hacker got into their camera system. We curtailed that within 2 hours. We notified every single organization that was breached, every single customer that we had at that point. I'm not going to talk about all the details we went in. That'll be on the link that I mentioned. All I will say on that is that the fine that we settled on was regarding the email practices and not even the security breach that we took. In addition to that, we've gotten some of the most incredible cloud-based physical security companies in the world who've actually become customers, some like Amazon and others. And since then, we went from 6,000 organizations that trusted us since that data breach to over 28,000 organizations. So we actually feel that we took that as a learning lesson. We've gotten better, made our system even better. We've became SOC 2 compliant. We've became FedRAMP ready, which takes 3 to 5 years to become FedRAMP ready, which basically means the federal government and military can buy our equipment because they trust the standards of our data. In addition to that, we have, I think, over 250 school districts in California alone that have trusted us with their data and their privacy. Other than that, I would say you should read our settlement response from our legal team because I don't want to speak out of turn.
Okay, thank you. Next is, I'm not sure who answers this, but the presentation says that everybody should reapply annually. So that seems kind of loose to me. So are people reapplying annually or it's optional, or could we find out a little bit more about that?
So historically, people have not reapplied annually. We've badged people one time, which is problematic. People get badged and 10, 15 years later are using the same badge. This is the first year that we are now rebadging everyone, and we will need to reinforce this and send out reminders next school year because now we will. And so thank you for grabbing that language because that's something that we will do. And because of the speed of this process, we actually have the capacity to do it in a timely manner, which would have been a challenge before given the delays in the process.
Okay, and then finally, can you explain how people who are going on field trips and overnight trips, how they're being cleared? Because the system seems to be very on the minute. And when you do a field trip here, we used to slap our badges on a fax machine and hand in the packet with your driver's license and your badge and your insurance card for your car. And now, since our volunteers now just showing up at the site and scanning in the morning of, and they're cleared and they're going, how is that going to work?
Yeah, good question. And please correct me if there's an echo. So I think I caught the question, but if I missed part of it. This is why we do want our volunteers cleared ahead of time, although we can now do it in a timely manner. Verkada will actually hold the lists of who we clear. So I can get in the system and see who has been cleared and who hasn't. And so that's something when they turn in the field trip packets, we can actually check the Verkada system even without a photocopy of a badge.
Okay, thank you. Well, since I only get 3 questions, I guess I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from the board? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you, Ms. Sigler and Mr. Booker. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We are now going to move on to our action item. First action item is E1, Provisional Internship Permit. Dr. Johnson, this is your item.
I apologize. For some reason, I can't get my camera to turn on. Thank you, President Smith Folds and Board. A provisional internship permit allows our newly hired teachers to enter into an internship program with our school district.
Thank you so much. Do we have public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Board questions? 3 questions, 2-minute comments. Trustee Reckler, you have questions?
Yes, hi, I submitted this question late, I'm sorry. So for both the PIP and the variable term waiver, we have one person who's on both lists. The person is Tiffany Marie Huey Scott. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Can you be on a PIP and a variable term waiver at the same time?
I have also not seen this before. So in full transparency, I will have to follow up with our staff because usually you are on one for 1 year. You have one opportunity to be on it. So if you would allow me to go back and confirm that, I can do that.
But I also don't want to hold up anything.
Well, I would want to go back and confirm.
Trustee Reckler, would you be okay with it going through and then Dr. Johnson telling you the answer to your question at a different time?
Yeah, I do not want to hold up anything.
Dr. Johnson, would that be okay to go ahead and vote it through and then you tell Trustee Reckler the answer?
I'm really struggling to hear. I don't know what it is today. Can you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. So is it okay if we go ahead and vote on the PIP and then you get in contact with Trustee Reckler and answer that specific question when you have the opportunity to go back and double check?
Yes, that would be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion?
President Smith also move that we approve the professional internship permits.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? Sorry, wait for the clock and then go ahead. 2-minute comments, please.
It sounded like Dr. Johnson was saying that she wanted to confirm that that was okay. I mean, that's what I heard, but maybe not. My question is, if the board votes for this and it's improper, what does that mean? Does it mean that staff has to come back for the board to undo an improper action? So, and I'm just talking about this one individual, right? So maybe it might make sense to approve everybody except that one individual and then come back or not. But, you know, what happens if you're not supposed to do that?
Sir, would you like to make that motion?
No, I'm just putting it out there. This is you guys staying now.
Would anyone like to make the motion that Mr. Phillips just spoke about, which is?
I would be happy to amend my motion. So I was feeling a little uncomfortable anyway, so I'll amend my motion that we approve the professional internship permit for Jeff Road.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing too. Could you repeat that again?
Yes, it's, I move that we approve the professional internship permit for Jeff Road, which is the other PIP on the list. There's only two, so it's for the other one, but not for Tiffany until we get confirmation from Dr. Johnson.
Okay, may I put another motion on the floor? What about if we approve both candidates and then Dr. Johnson comes back and if we have to revisit it, we revisit it to make it correct?
Okay, so hold on. So Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy made a motion. He needs a sec, because he amended his motion. He needs to see if you are okay with his amended motion.
Pres-
Trustee,
President
go
Smith,
ahead.
I'm sorry. Because I'm okay with anything, but could we ask Dr. Johnson for her opinion before?
Absolutely. Dr. Johnson, can you hear us?
Yes, it is a
Okay.
little muffled down here, but I can hear. My thoughts were that we approve her, the employee's name on both, and then we can come back with a correction and remove her from one if that is necessary, if it's not okay to approve her on both. And again, I apologize, I've never seen one name on both before.
Okay, so Dr. Johnson's recommendation is we approve the name on both, and then if we have to make an amendment, we'll make an amendment when it's time. Trustee Reckler, that was your motion. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, are you okay with seconding that motion? Not to put pressure, but,
Yeah.
okay. So Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, are you still hanging on to the first motion, or are you gonna remove it?
No, I remove it.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now going to vote on Trustee Reckler's motion that was duly seconded by Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, which is we accept the PIPs, and then if something needs to be amended, Dr. Johnson will come back to us and let us know that an amendment has to happen. That's what we're voting on now, okay? All right. Seeing no more comments, we're going to go straight to the vote. Trustee Wilson, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Trustee Espinoza Jr., your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler, your vote?
Reckler, yes.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, your vote?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson. We are now moving to item E2, Education Code 44258.3, variable term waivers. Dr. Johnson, this is your item?
Yes, this one also authorizes the school district to assign teachers based on their subject matter competency.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Are there any public comments?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing no questions, do we have, Trustee Reckler, is that a question?
No, I was going to make a motion.
Go ahead, please.
So what I would like to do is approve this variable term waiver as well with both names and have Dr. Johnson come back if we need to rescind, since one individual is listed twice, but I don't want to stop the process.
Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second, but for this one, there's only one name, so it's just for that one individual. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right, any comments? Board, just at a point of order, they cannot hear us, so we have to get very close to our microphone, okay? People who are watching on Zoom cannot hear us. All right, thank you. So seeing no comments, let's go straight to the vote. Trustee Wilson, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Espinoza Junior, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler, your vote?
Reckler, yes.
Sorry, thank you. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you, and I'm a yes. We are now moving to, thank you for that. We are now moving to E3, recommend approval of employment agreement for Associate Superintendent Teaching and Learning. Dr. Hurst, this is your item.
Thank you. The board is being asked to approve an employment agreement with Catherine Acosta Papraskas to serve as the Associate Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. The employment agreement has been attached to the agenda online for review. The employment agreement provides, number one, the contract term is for 3 years from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. Number two, the Associate Superintendent of Teaching and Learning annual salary is $211,926.17 with health and welfare benefits consistent with educational administrators of the district. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you so very much. May I have, I'm sorry, do we have any questions, board? Seeing none, let's go straight to the motion. Is there a motion?
President Smith Folds, I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for Catherine Acosta Papraskas, we are Associate Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Board, do we have any comments?
I do.
Go ahead, sir. 2 minutes on the clock.
I just want to say that I'm rooting for you. You did a great job at Montalban. You've been doing a good job here. And I just hope that your ability and your skill is able to radiate through this organization and touch the kids at all of the other schools. So I will be rooting for you from afar.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments? I do have a comment. Thank you so very much for all the hard work that you do. Please understand that the vote that I give tonight has nothing to do with you. It's just longevity. I want to see you grow in this position and do it so well, which I know you will do. So I just wanted to let you know that from me. And I do think that it's one of those things that it's hard to have a new superintendent not be able to pick their cabinet, but I know that you will be picked because you are doing a fantastic job. But I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you again. So I just wanted to let you know, and I appreciate it. Any other comments? Seeing none? Let's go to the vote. All right, Trustee Espinoza Junior, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler, your vote, ma'am.
Reckler, yes.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, your vote.
Yes.
And I'm a no. Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Catherine. We are now moving on to E4. Recommend approval of employment agreement for Associate Superintendent K through 12 operations. Dr. Hurst, this is your item.
The board is being asked to approve the employment agreement with Summer Sigler to serve as the Associate Superintendent of K-12 Operations. The employment agreement has been attached to the agenda item online for review. The employment agreement provides the following. Number one, the contract term is for 3 years from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2027. Number two, the Associate Superintendent of K-12 Operations annual salary is $211,926.17 with health and welfare benefits consistent with education administrators of the district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Board, any questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
President, I make a motion that we approve the contract for Summer Sigler for Associate Superintendent K-12 Operations.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you so very much. Do we have any comments? Wait for the clock and go ahead, Trustee Phillips.
Although I'm leaving, this is the third superintendent transition that I've been somehow connected to, right? So basically, I didn't hire Matthew Duffy, but I was there when he just arrived. We like arrived at the same time. So like the transition from Harder to Duffy was one, right? The transition from Duffy to Hurst is two. And now I'm still kind of now at the tail end, right, or the beginning of this transition from Hurst to the next person, three. I used to think that the superintendent should be able to just come in and choose whoever he wants or she wants to be on the cabinet. I don't think that anymore because I've sat through it a few times. But I don't think that the superintendent shouldn't be able to choose anybody. I think that there should be a balance because what I saw happen, and for those of you who are around the district, I'm not going to name any names, but you know what I'm talking about, right? We had an mass exodus from this district during one of those transitions because, you know, the superintendent's able to pick whoever they want, right? And they brought in all of these new people and people who have been here for years were, you know, stepped on, to be quite frank, which is not how it is right now. You don't want to do that again because that actually set us back quite a distance. So where I am now, right, is I'm actually kind of somewhere in the middle personally. And in my opinion, board, this is, you know, for what it's worth, you know, free advice, what they say. I would strike a balance and give the new superintendent some leeway, but not the ability to just wholesale uproot everything. It didn't work when it happened before.
Thank you. Any other comments? Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to first thank both Ms. Sigler and Ms. Acosta-Veprasquez. I did not make comments with Ms. Acosta-Veprasquez, but since I'm making comments now, I'm gonna make them both. Since also people call you the twins, since you're like go everywhere together as well. I've been so incredibly impressed by both of your leaderships since I was a teacher and I met you at a PD and you were both there in your capacities. And since then, I continue to be impressed in every capacity that I've gotten the privilege to work with both of you in. So I'm just so thankful that you continue to make the commitment to be in this district. I'm thankful that we're able to provide you a contract and the safety net feeling. Because unfortunately, the contract, I still think that I disagree with my amazing president. I think the superintendent could choose different people if they, because that's how the contracts were written. So I actually disagree with that. So that's the lines of the contract. But I think we're doing these contracts because we truly do believe in your leaderships and why we believe in the leaderships of the rest of the cabinet as well. I think we have an amazing team. I haven't felt this way since I think the leadership team that maybe Trustee Phillips was talking about many years ago. And I'm just so thankful again that you continue to bring that work ethic, prioritization, and your commitment to this community in your work. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy. Any other comments? Okay, I have a comment. Thank you, Ms. Sigler, for the work that you do. My vote is about longevity, how long you've been in the position. So I'm waiting to. I do have an issue, Trustee Phillips, with the superintendent not being able to pick it, but I do agree that there should be a balance. I don't think that we struck that balance yet. So I think that that's something that we need to work towards. If that's being in a position as an interim for a certain amount of time and then moving to another one, or I don't know exactly what that is because of, I mean, we're 5 people and we have to come to a consensus, and that consensus is with the majority. But I don't want any of you to take this personal. It is not a personal attack on your work or the ethics or anything that you do. This is for me about longevity. That's just what it is for me. And I know that the commitment that you have goes past the piece of paper, because if it didn't, you would have left a long time ago. So thank you for that commitment to the district and to what you do for these children every day. All right, so let's go to the vote. Trustee Espinoza Jr., your vote, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips, your vote, sir?
Yep.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler, your vote, ma'am?
Reckler, yes.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez Hoyle, your vote, sir?
Yes.
And I'm a no. Thank you. Congratulations. We are now moving on to item E4, recommend approval of employment agreement for nope, we already did that one, sorry. We are moving on to E5, approval of contract for interim associate superintendent maintenance and operation bond. Dr. Hurst, this is your, hold on one second. Let me let you get it together. It's all right. All right, sir, this is your item. That's okay. I'll do it. Okay, so there, here we go. Thank you. The board is being asked to approve the employment agreement with Melissa Payne to serve as interim associate superintendent, maintenance and operations. The employment agreement has been attached to the agenda item online for review. The employment agreement provides, 1, the contract term is for 7 months from December the 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. The interim associate superintendent, maintenance and operation annual salary is $211,926.17 with health and welfare benefits consistent with classified administrators of the district. All right, board, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Board, do we have any questions? Seeing no questions, is there a motion?
President, I'll make a motion that we appoint Melissa Payne as interim associate superintendent for maintenance and operations and approve her contract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board, is there a second? Hold on one second. Trustee Phillips, you have something?
I have a question.
Go ahead, ask it.
Is it real? And I'm not, I'm not able to attend closed session because of my work right now. But unless the board is going to be putting out some kind of search for the position, which it may be, and don't know about, right? Is that what's happening?
Would you like to answer? Go ahead.
Trustee Phillips, we did discuss this in closed session. I think we can answer your question, but we have to go back in closed session.
Okay. My only comment and we don't have to go back there. My only comment is, unless the board is doing a search.
Okay, hold on, sir. We're not on comments yet, but hold that comment because we're gonna be the comments. Or is
It's,
this attached to your question?
yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Unless the board has decided it's going to do a search. And unless that search is going to happen before, like now, right? Because of when people look for jobs in administration, it's like February. Unless all that's going to happen, is it realistic that the board is actually going to find somebody new for July 1st? And if that's not realistic, why is her contract just not through the entire next school year? That's my question. I'm not asking for anybody to go back in the back. You all know what the conversation was back there. And I'll save the rest for a comment. But
Thank
that's
you.
the question. It's It's a rhetorical question.
Thank you very much. We are now going, did we have a motion? Clerk Gonzalez, well, you did motion, correct?
Yeah, there was no second.
I'll second. Okay, now we can go to comments. 2 minutes on the clock, please. You had a comment, sir? Wait for the clock and then go, please.
Personally, I think that Ms. Payne should not be the interim. I think she should just be named to the position. That's my personal opinion. But based on the questions that I just had, right? Like I said, unless the board knows that it's hiring for the position and it's going to do it basically before February, to me, what makes the most sense is if we, and I don't want to just put a motion out there and it's not seconded, but what makes the most sense to me is that I think she should be permanent, but the contracts for interim, what makes the most sense for me is that she's actually named interim through June 26th. So the end of the following school year, because that would allow you all to have continuity in the position and not in 7 months, unless you know that you're going to be hiring 6 months, unless you know for sure you're going to be hiring somebody and you're going to do it extremely quickly, that you're not like coming back to her in June and being like, will you sign them for another 7 months? That's my thought, but I don't know what you guys discussed in the back.
Any other comments? Seeing none, and Trustee Phillips, to walk this very fine line, there was a thorough discussion in the back. Just to give you a little bit of ease, there was a very thorough discussion about this in the back. All right, we are now headed to the vote. Student Trustee Espinoza Jr., your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler, your vote?
Reckler, yes.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, your vote?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, thank you very much. Okay. I don't know if I did that. Okay. We are now moving on to discussion items and reports. We are on D, absolutely not, sorry. We're on F1, new district anti-slur policy. You good, sir? If not, let me know. I got you covered. All right, go ahead, sir, if you're ready.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We wanted to introduce this policy for discussion for the board this evening. And it goes off the heels of our anti-racism policy as well. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. When you look at the beginning of the policy, it's our purpose statement, and I want to share that with all of you. It says, the WCCUSD Board of Education is committed to fostering a safe, inclusive, and respectful environment for all students, staff, and community members. We seek to eliminate language that interferes with district educational mission, including slurs that demean, marginalize, or inflict emotional harm on individuals or groups based on race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, ability, or other personal characteristics. What we really like about this proposed policy for discussion as well is there's a policy statement that talks about exercising responsibility and being safe. And the policy statement says being safe and responsible also means being accountable for the language and understanding potential harm that it can cause. Further, in this policy, you can see that it clearly defines a slur. So it covers it being an epithet, a threat, verbal abuse, use of profanity, a derogatory comment, a rumor, a joke, a note, a story, drawing, picture, or a gesture that demeans a person's perceived ethnicity, race, national origin, immigrant status, religious belief, gender, sexual orientation, age, disability, manner of speech, or any other physical or cultural characteristics. Further, what I really like about this is it's not limited to verbal communications. It talks about written communications, digital communications as well. And it talks about this being on school grounds, during school activities, so when they're at contests, extracurricular activities. And what I really like about this proposed policy is it covers online interactions. I think one of the things that we had discussed in the governance committee is that this would be just relegated to students only. So I would recommend when this does come back that we strike the language that says staff. Not that we don't want to deal with staff, but we had discussed in the governance committee that we would take that up at another time, but this is just for students. So I would say that we would eliminate where it says and staff member or community member, and just make this policy, this slur policy right now about students. I think one of the things that we would have to do in this discussion is come back also with administrative regulation and just share with the board the details of how this would be implemented if the board agrees with this direction of a policy. You can see also in this policy, there's guidelines and expectations. There's education and awareness. And I know I've been part of decisions and conversations, even with some of us on the dais here, where we talked about what does it look like when this happens, not just a consequence, but restorative justice as well, but also how do we educate the entire school where it happened, where there's assembly and everybody participates in that assembly from K through whatever the grade level is, not just the grade that's impacted. We also talk about in here reporting and response, how we would investigate and hold one another accountable as well. Support for the affected individuals also. And again, we would have to spell some of this out in the administrative regulation as well. And then you can see number 5, a commitment to anti-racism, and we include the focus on our anti-racism policy. And of course, we know that we have a discipline matrix. We would abide by our discipline matrix. And it says here that consequences for violating this policy would be proportionate to the nature of the incident. Now, that may seem a little vague, but I think we would have to spell that out also in administrative regulations. So if they're called any of that's described in this policy, what does it look like at every level? The first instance, the second, the third. So again, those conversations would have to continue, and we would have to share with all of you on the board, here's what the administrative regulation would look like, and here's what the specific path for a school principal. So that's what I would share with you for discussion. This originated in a conversation at the executive cabinet level with those sitting before you. We also included Dr. Rogers Ard, who's been leading the anti-racism work. And this also is going to our governance committee for vetting as well. Also, this is going through legal counsel, just to make sure that there was no liability concerns. There were some edits that were made by legal counsel, but nothing significant that deterred from our original intent. So I'll turn it back over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you so very much. Board, do we have any questions? We're going to do 3 questions and 2-minute comments. Trustee Reckler, your questions?
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this. So I think I know the answer to this, but I think it needs to be explicitly included. Where or can intergroup communications be included more specifically in the text? In other words, as a Jewish American, there are things I can say to another Jewish American that would be fine, and all cultures and races have them. But if you said that to me, it would be a major problem. So I'm assuming that this would cover it, but I would like to see specific language around that.
So some of the things that we have talked about, and I'll ask Dr. Hurst to please comment on this also. Some of the things that we talked about is place, not at school. It's not at school. It is a zero tolerance, not gonna happen at school. I don't care if it's you to you, you to you, you to her, you to brother to sister, not at school. It's not in our buildings and it's not gonna be around where it can impact other students. Because it's not just saying it, it's hearing it. There's trauma in hearing, not just saying. So we are drawing a hard line. Do it over there. You're not gonna do it here. That's my opinion. I believe Dr. Hurst, I think that's what we agreed upon, but feel free to go ahead and make a comment to that. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy also, but let's go Dr. Hurst first and then Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy. Dr. Hurst?
You're absolutely correct, ma'am, and I hear you also loud and clear, Trustee Reckler. And I did write that out, really spelling it out, being more intentional and clear around the communications.
I think, sorry, Trustee Reckler, just so I can add, when we discussed that specific item, we discussed that it would fall under paragraph 3. If you look at paragraph 3 on what a slur is, it says specifically religious belief. So in our discussion of the governance committee, we said that this paragraph covers what we think what it could be every injured group. But if something's missing, we definitely would like to hear that.
Trustee Reckler? go
But
ahead.
I think what I'm saying is a little bit different. Like, if you said it to me, it would be an issue, but if I said it to another Jewish person, we could probably internally laugh about that. So what I'm trying to get at is this intergroup, what may be acceptable and I agree with President Smith-Folds that not here, but I really think that there needs to be a sentence about that in some way, shape, or form. So even though this is a little bit of a comment, I'm hoping, would you please look to include that? How does that make it a question?
Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I would like to ask maybe Dr. Rogers Art to think through that, just because I do think that there can be racialized harm within a group, right? So like, if a Latino individual made a comment to me that was race related, even though they're Latino, I could consider it to be racist, right? And that doesn't mean that it should be okay, right? So I think that there has to be like a really fleshed out maybe statement by an expert in the field on that piece. I'm not saying that I'm opposed to it, but I'm just saying that like, I also see it going the other way and that it could perpetrate, I guess, what we're trying to avoid if we're not careful.
And I think and I would never want to speak for Dr. Rogers Ard, but with the books that she has offered us to read, what the books are allowing us to understand is harm is harm. You can't split the baby. If you say it, it's harmful. If you say it to each other, it's harmful. If you say it to each other and you accept it, that's because you have been conditioned to think that it is not harmful. It is harmful. Racialized slurs create racialized harm, no matter who is saying it to whom and no matter who is hearing it. I think that one of the things that this district can do on its journey to anti-racism is not split the hairs. Because I think if you split the hairs, then you impede the retraining and relearning that has to happen. Because then it's now a 15-minute conversation in the office with a principal saying, well, no, I just said it to my friend and that's not the same thing. And then the friend is like, well, no, it hurt me. Don't say it. Don't use slurs in our schools at all. Do it somewhere else. So, Mr. Phil, that's just my opinion. Again, I think that it's okay to flush it through Dr. Rogers Ard just so she could give us a clear understanding. But from the reading, that was my thought. Trustee Phillips, you had a comment to this?
I do. So I got off the bar in Oakland about a year ago, and there was this young man. He looked like he was in his early 20s, could have been late teens, but I think it was the early 20s. And he was scoping people out like he was up to no good. And so he was scoping me out, and he turned to me, and I said something like, "Young man, can I help you?" I spoke to him, and he looked at me and he said, "Young man." And I stood there for a minute, and then he wisely turned around and walked away. But the point was this: he was offended that I called him a young man. And that's exactly what he was. And that let me know that people don't refer to him as a young man. He's not accustomed to being addressed as young man. And this was a young black man, I'm just going to say it. The biggest issue I had in that the thing that disturbed me the most in that whole interaction was not how he was standing, not that he was eyeballing me. It was that he was shocked that he was referred to as a young man. I understand that we call each other different things depending on what groups that we are in. But, and I know somebody may get upset about this, but African American children in this district should not be walking around calling each other the N-word. They should not be doing it. And the reason they should not be doing it is because they grow up to be that young man who does not know how to be addressed as a young man, or that young woman who does not know how to be addressed as a young woman, and it makes it difficult for them to take their rightful God-given place on this earth because they walk around thinking that they are less than because they've been conditioned to do that. So no, Black students should not be referring to each other that way on this campus. And if you go to different schools, they go to Morehouse or wherever they may end up in this world, they will be addressed. Look, my name is Mr. Phillips. I was born with a title, and it's the best title that I will ever have. And my son's name is Mr. Phillips. And all of these other kids that are here, they are Mr. and they are Miss, and they should grow up learning to carry themselves that way. And so I agree with what you're saying, interracial, interreligious, somewhere else, because here you will learn how to respect yourself so you can grow into your full adulthood.
Thank you so very much. This was a really robust conversation. Do we have anything else to add? Trustee Reckler, you have something to add?
I do have comments when you're ready for that.
I think that we're kind of just free flowing. Let's just go ahead and make your comment. We'll put a 2-minute clock up just to keep us all kind of tight, but go ahead.
Okay. So I hope that you will involve students, especially in the rollout and how this happens on the ground. I think that their input is either going to make or break this, honestly, and whether they buy in. And, I think that's really important. I also am really curious about how you will keep current because language changes and, who's going to stay on top of the new vernacular. So I think that's important. Intergroup, communications, I think that's really important. And my answer is not here, not now, not ever, not, I feel very strongly about that. I think something needs to be written in. I think also that something in the policy needs to refer to the administrative regulation. Maybe it could say something like the superintendent or designee will create and maintain a standards manual of some sort, like, like something where you have the policy, but then, you've got how it's going to roll out. And then, even though this went through legal counsel, I would ask that you ask again, once again, I am not an attorney, but there is case law, which is Tinker versus Des Moines, and apparently there were standards or a test was determined, and the standards are the substantial disruption standard and the inference with the rights of other standards. School officials do not violate the First Amendment if they can reasonably forecast that a student's speech will cause a substantial disruption of school activities. Once again, I am not an attorney, but I did some research on student-free speech and this popped up, and so I just think it's worth another look at. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing no comments, we're gonna move to our second discussion item. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, can you take this one? It is E2, non-discrimination policy.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Board and community, we are making a couple changes from our non-discriminatory thank you policy. I want to make it clear that the change that I'm going to share came out of our anti-racist work that the district's currently leading. There are still a lot of changes that need to be made to this policy and some changes that have been sent to me from people on this board. But we felt like this needed urgency because it comes kind of as a package with everything else going on with the anti-racist work group. So this will come back for further changes in the spring as we take in consideration some of the feedback that we've gotten from some of you about the changes. And I think Trustee Reckler has sent me some as well. So those the governance committee will take those on. So the first change on the policy is just a change of who gets the complaints. Some staff has changed, so we put new staff there and their contact information. And then the actual language addition is around racialized harm. And I'm going to read the paragraph, short paragraph. The governing board recognizes the impact of racialized harm and racial trauma on the district's ability to provide such an environment. Racialized harm occurs when biased speech, conduct, or expressions are made against someone of another race. Harm can also occur when racialized slurs are used within schools by people of the same or different race. Racial trauma refers to the mental and emotional injury caused by encounters with racial bias and ethnic discrimination, racism, and hate crimes. Any individual that has experienced racialized harm is at risk of suffering from racial trauma. And I believe that's the only change that we're bringing tonight. But like I mentioned, we will see this again in the spring with additional changes that are coming from feedback from the board. Thank you, President.
Thank you so very much, Clerk Gonzalez Hoy. Staff, do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Thank you. Board, we're gonna do questions. Trustee Reckler, you have some questions?
I do, and first I want to apologize because I thought I ran 8 copies, but 8 copies did not show up, so I profusely apologize for this. And I can email you the electronically the document. Again, this was completely not intentional. Maybe you can share. So I first want to acknowledge Lauren Levin and hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Hang on 1 second. Now I'm flabbergasted. Hang on 1 second. I'm really sorry. Hang on. So I want to thank Lauren Levin and Kate Stearns from Fairmont, and we together are going to bring back a policy that really addresses transgender community, non-binary issues, things of that sort. But they contacted me and we ended up today spending time talking together about some of the things that are in this policy and this proposed policy, and they made some really good suggestions. And so I'd like to just honor them and say thank you really for an excellent discussion today. So that's first. The second is, so do harassment and non-discrimination have legal definitions under the law? They do. Okay. So my first suggestion would be is that those definitions go in the policy. And as we were reading this, the reason why we would like to include that is that we feel like it would just make the document flow a little better and make the pieces come together a little more and be a little bit more explanatory and have it hang together better. So that's the first suggestion. The second is in racialized harm, we think that there's a piece of a sentence that is incomplete or has been left off. And so what the sentence says is the governing board recognizes the impact of racialized harm and racial trauma on the district's ability to provide such an environment. So I don't think that's the environment that the district wants to provide. And so I would ask that you go back and see what dropped out of that sentence, as it seems incomplete. And then Lauren did a lot of editing to the gender identity and expression section, which we also think should have its own little header so that it becomes its own little piece in this policy. And so if you would, in the next governance meeting, take a look at what she has here and perhaps run it by others who have different gender identities or expressions and get a kind of a feeling about maybe what they'd like to see in it. And her other suggestion is that perhaps the racialized harm section should be run by ASAT and maybe even MDAC, just to get a feel for for parents, what they think about it. And then you'll also see on this copy, she added a little thing about citizenship or immigration status. I don't really know if it fits here, but because we were talking about the resolution that was pulled from the agenda, we were kind of like, all right, maybe, I don't know, now that I think about it more, maybe that doesn't really go here. Maybe that should go somewhere else. But the main things are to relook at the racialized harm section and to look at the gender identity and expression section and, give that some thought. Another couple of things are this section for questions and complaints where we list area 1, area 2, and area 3. How would people know what area 1 schools are, what area 2 schools are, and what area 3 schools are? And could a link directly go into the policy that goes to the website where you can find that, or list the schools? Like, I'm not really sure how that gets solved. I think a link to a website is an easier idea. And then I think that the definitions of non-discrimination and harassment would kind of be like, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is how it's defined. And then these other parts, as she has here, further information and definitions, which I think would kind of pull the whole thing together a little more and make it flow a little bit better. And those are my comments. Thank you. And I apologize again. That was totally, I feel really stupid. I'm getting red.
Clerk Gonzalez-Lloyd, go ahead.
Thank you, President. I appreciate the feedback. I like all the changes that Trustee Reckler worked with some of the community folks. So if it's okay with you and Dr. Hurst, I think we can bring him to our committee meeting, which I think is next week, for revisions, so that we can, if we make the changes, then we can agendize it for the 18th. And then I would ask Trustee Reckler, though, that if you are working, or she is working, sorry, through the chair, on a policy around LGBTQ and transgender harm, or whatever we want to call it, we are working on one as well. So if you could actually send us that draft or feedback, we'd appreciate it, because I think, I mean, it's the problem with the Brown Act, right? I mean, like, we can't all work together on things that are really good for our community. So we can mesh it together at the governance committee, because I'm sure that good things will come from Trustee Reckler and the individuals who are working with her. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to just say that the racialized harm part was passed through Dr. Rogers Art. So that's our expert in the district about our anti-racism and all things kind of under the umbrella of racism. Trustee Reckler, I wanted to give you a little bit information about what the sentence was imparting. Is the board recognizes the impact of the harm and the trauma and the district's ability to provide those spaces for that to be normalized and to exist, and that we have to stop providing those spaces. So that's where it's coming from. So I hope that gives a little bit of clarity. If I'm wrong, I'm sure Dr. Rogers Art will correct me, but that's how I read that statement, that it is the governing board, we recognize that there is an environment for this harm and this trauma to exist, and we are actively saying, stop it. That's where this comes in, to where we have a clear definition of what racialized harm and trauma is, because that's what we want to stop. So that's hopefully gives you a little bit more clarity. Okay, any other comments on this discussion item? Seeing no more comments on this discussion item, we are now moving on. We are going to go to pulled consent items. The first pulled consent item was C10. Trustee Reckler, you pulled this item. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just, I'd like to see ratified contracts just be far and few between and be really, really urgent. Just a personal opinion, when I look at them, I don't feel like there are things that, you know, are rush jobs or needed to be approved before the board got a chance to look at them. And that is my comment on that. And with that, I will move ratified contracts.
Second.
Thank you. It was properly moved in second. We are now going to the vote. Trustee Espinoza Jr., your vote.
Yes.
Trustee Phillips, your vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian, your vote.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Christian. Trustee Reckler, your vote.
Reckler, yes.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoyt, your vote.
Yes.
Thank you, and I'm a yes. We are now moving to C12. C12, Clerk Gonzalez-Hoyt, can you speak to this one, please?
Yes, of course. So for C12, if we recall, we actually passed this policy in July of this year, in which we were able to now pay our student trustees for the work that they do, and then also give them school credit for doing this work. We put a lot of thought into some of the responsibilities, as well as the how they get elected. Unfortunately, we got feedback from legal counsel. We couldn't pay the student trustees how we wrote it on the policy. So we had to go back and we had to change the structure on how student trustees get paid. Practically, we have to be able to show an account and like how, like, it's not just here $500 for showing up to the meetings, but there's work behind that. So we separated it according to the work that we believe student trustees do already, which leads to the same amount that we had agreed on previously. So the only change that we're bringing with tonight is around the pay, just to clarify that piece so that we can pay our student trustees moving forward. I want to be clear though, that I have been talking to Trustee Wilson and Trustee Espinosa Jr., they want to propose some changes to this policy. So we're going to be agendizing it in our January meeting so that we can take some of their feedback, especially as they have been sitting in the seats, on what changes they would like to see. So this will come back, but there is an urgency of us passing this tonight, as is, because of the pay issue, because otherwise we can't pay our student trustees. So anyways, I hope that we can pass it. And again, I already see that we got feedback about some changes. Happy to take that back, because we're gonna do that anyways. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Reckler, you pulled it. Would you like to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. So I was not at the July 17th meeting because I was out of the country and could not submit any comments nor speak to it. So I'm taking this opportunity to add some comments to this policy. So the first part is that I took the opening out of the governance handbook and just mirrored it in the policy. So just to streamline documents, and what's in one could show up in the other. So that's in red, and that's straight out of the governance handbook as an opening. The second is, it's my recommendation that all of the language about the All-Student Congress and how kids are elected, that gets taken out and gets put in a I don't know if you want to call it a administrative regulation or a standards manual that the superintendent controls. And the reason for that is we already said in the governance manual that the superintendent of schools or appointed designee is responsible for ensuring student trustee selection and service aligns with the California Education Code 35012 that governs the selection and service of student trustees, including equitable access, equitable, accessible, and well-publicized selection process. So in our governance handbook, we've already we actually kind of said that. And my recollection from that conversation was when we used to have a youth commission, which was written into the old governance handbook, and then a new administration changed it into an all-student congress, which was fine, except that we had a process already written. And honestly, the all-student congress is better than the youth commission work. And it really, to me, it really is the superintendent's responsibility. You know, the board is to say, we want student trustees and maybe give some small parameters, but it really is the job, in my opinion, of the superintendent to carry that work forward. So if you put it in the policy, anytime it changes, it's going to have to come back. So I thought maybe that could, be removed. The next piece is, oh, and I thought it was fine to leave like one, like one student coming from a high school with 60% or higher free or reduced lunch and trying, trying really hard to recruit candidates. Those felt like, to me, like parameters, and I was okay with it. I just thought the other part was like really down into the weeds of like how people got elected. So it's just an opinion that I've always wanted to make. The other thing that's important is that there's some language around student trustees making motions, and the board has to have passed a motion that allows student trustees to make motions, or we have to pass a resolution that allows student trustees to make motions. And we checked with legal counsel when we were writing this part of the governance handbook, and we don't have that. So I changed the language to say that, they can make motions provided that the governing board has adopted that resolution, and hopefully that resolution can come forward so that we are in line in Ed Code. And then I have no issues with paying student trustees, so that actually I didn't have any problems with. And then I thought maybe there's a lot of training. There's ethics training, there's Rosenberg's training, and since student trustees do not abide by the Brown Act, I thought it would be okay to make Brown Act training optional instead of required. since it doesn't apply to them, even though, it is something that we have to do. And so those were the changes that I wrote up and hoping that they will be considered in a revised copy.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Trustee Reckler. I have no problem with a majority of the changes. Like I said, I hope that you're okay with us passing this tonight just for the pay issue. But I do commit that we will bring it back because we're already doing that in January to meet with our student trustees on some of the changes they want to discuss.
So if I may, though, I am a little skeptical about that because I'm still waiting for the CBOC policy. So you will understand if I have some skepticism that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've purposely not brought back the CBOC policy because you have submitted so many. We are trying and doing our best with all the policies you've submitted. But yes, and like I said, we are discussing it in January. But if we don't pass this tonight, then our student trustees can't get paid. So I think that there is that urgency. I mean, I'd be happy to make a motion that we approve the change to the policy and that we bring back new policy for us with new revisions according to feedback we have gotten in February, which would allow us to have a conversation in January meeting, bring it back just to make the commitment even stronger through a motion. I'd be happy to do that to show goodwill.
Thank you so much. Trustee Phillips, you had your hand up? Okay. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, is that the motion that you are making?
Yeah, let me just simplify.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve the policy with the commitment that we will bring back a revised copy in February after the governance committee has reviewed it in January.
Thank you. I'll second that. Okay. Any comments? I see Trustee Phillips has a comment. Go ahead, Trustee Phillips.
If the board is going to pay student trustees, I think that it is doubly important that there is an equitable process for student trustees to be on the board. I understand that student trustees are coming from the All Student Congress, but only, no offense to any trustees, current or past, that's a certain kind of student that may not be representative of the majority of the student body, right? And so, and what I mean by that is using the example of the free and reduced lunch thing that, certain number of the students need to come from a school with free and reduced lunch. Well, there's a difference between being at a school where the majority of the students are on free and reduced lunch and actually yourself being on free and reduced lunch. It's a different experience. And so all I'm trying to say is that the student trustees don't always have to be the cream of the crop. Sometimes it should just be regular, average, middle of the road kids, which is the majority of the kids. And so I'm just asking that as you move forward and figuring out how folks are going to be in this space, that it's just not the best of the best, especially if you're paying them, right? That everybody gets a shot, regardless of what their station is. Now, I'm not saying that I know what any student trustee station is, including yours, but I just want to make sure it's equitable. You're paying folks.
Okay, go ahead. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Phillips. Actually, what you just said is exactly what the student trustees want to bring in January. So there's always good intention with changes, right? Our intention was exactly what you're talking about, right? On creating the language about free and reduced lunch. But as pointed out by our student trustees, El Cerrito does not fit that criteria. Yet there's a lot of students that go to El Cerrito who who are free and reduced lunch themselves, right? Or who would fit the criteria of what we're trying, our intention to do. So that's why it's coming back in January, because we want to have that discussion and maybe detail that a little bit better. Because we might unintentionally be doing the opposite of what we're trying to do to some schools.
Thank you for that clarity.
Go ahead, trustee Espinoza Junior.
So not only just echoing just that, what Clerk Gonzalez-Ore has mentioned, but me alongside trustee Wilson and one of the upcoming trustees for the next term, we are actually working really closely with all student congress and the directors from the outreach department to actually make sure that our recruiting process aligns with the policy as well. We tried finding a person to fill in the vacant spot for the next term, but a lot of the people that come from who meet the criteria that you just brought up were having low attendance into these all student congress meetings or low engagement in these meetings. So that is actually something we're going to try to work on. If anything, have a complete switch on so that way there's more efficiency and consistency with all student congress, how it operates to make sure that that criteria is not only met, but that it's at its best as well.
Thank you so much. I think that this is such a good discussion and it needs to be a both and, right? There's only a certain limit of people that can be student trustees because of just, that's the number. But what do our sites look like that are actively wanting student engagement and student voice? How are we getting feedback from the clubs that go to that are on the site? How are we getting feedback by kids that never go to a club? And I'm not talking about a survey. How are we having relationships with kids who don't fit certain criteria, but we are charged and duty bound and determined to make sure that their experience at school is a healthy one, wholly healthy and safe and encouraging. So I think that when you are with All Student Congress, I think that you go one step and then go 10 steps more, right? What does it look like on site for students who don't have the ability to be part of All Student Congress, right? So I think that I'm looking forward to the policy coming back because I want to flesh that out. That's why you guys are so very important to be looking at the same thing that we're looking at, and you have that very clear perspective. I also think that this is why we have our anti-racism lens that we look through because it helps us catch things, right? To trustee Phillips' point, just because you're at a school that has free and reduced lunch doesn't mean that you're the student. So I think that that's something that, again, both and let's bring it all together and make sure that we're centering student experience through their voice in all avenues. So I think that was very good. Thank you so much for, you made a motion. I seconded. We are now going to the vote. Anyone need the motion restated? Nope, summarize, it's coming back. All right, trustee Espinoza Junior?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Phillips?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Christian?
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Reckler?
Yes.
All right. Clerk Gonzalez-Hoy?
Yes.
Great, and I'm a yes. We are now moving to comments from the Board of Education and future agenda items. It is 9:37. We should be able to do this before 10 o'clock. Everybody gets 3 minutes. All right, here we go. If you have a comment, pop your little hand up. Great, all right, sorry. All right, let's go trustee Reckler, then trustee Phillips. Trustee Reckler, go ahead.
Great, thank you. So once again, I want to thank Lauren and Kate today from Fairmont. I had a great time today. It was just a really great exchange of ideas, and I think we're going to bring back some really great, powerful stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I want to thank them for their time. And then for those of you who are departing, I want to say that I've enjoyed serving with you, and I will miss you, and I hope that you will stay in touch. And thank you for your service to the district. We know it is not easy. And I also want to thank your families because your family serves too. Your family runs for office, and your family serves in the position. And I want to acknowledge their contribution and their dedication and their sacrifice as well of your time and your presence while you do other things. And I hope you'll stay in touch and best wishes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Trustee Phillips? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's let Trustee Espinoza Jr. go first. Go ahead, sir.
You don't have to. I'll let Mr. Phillips go.
Oh, I love it. Look how polite we all are. Okay, Trustee Phillips, go ahead. Wait for the 3 minutes, sir.
Trustee Espinoza made me feel old. He said, I remember hearing about you when I was a little kid. No. I'm joking with you. I'm joking with you. It's good to be in a space for so long and to have the chance to help folks. So that's all that means to me. So um, I want to do some congratulations. Um, I want to congratulate all of our new associate superintendents. I'm happy for you and your families and the new positions that you have. And I look forward to all of the great things that I know you are going to do. I also want to publicly congratulate the interim superintendent to be. I know you two are going to continue to do great things, as will the rest of the cabinet. I want to congratulate Dr. Hurst publicly on his retirement. You have put in a lot of long, hard years helping folks, doing God's work. And sometimes we have to take a step back for ourselves and our families and rest and get revitalized. So I know that this retirement is not the end of the good work of Dr. Hurst. I know it is a break, and it is a well deserved break. But congratulations to you and Crystal on your retirement. It is well deserved, and you are a great public servant. And thank you for being my superintendent. I want to tell the rest of the board, the remaining board members, that I am rooting for each one of you. Trustee Reckler, Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, President Smith Folds, I am rooting for each one of you because if you are successful, the district is successful, our kids are successful. I wish each one of you the very best because of what that means, not just for yourselves, but for this school community. I want to give a congratulations to the incoming board members. This is a great place to be. It's not always an easy place to be, but it's a great place to be, and you can get a lot of personal satisfaction from being in this space. So I wish you the best as well. And to West County as a whole, God bless you. I love you, and thank you for the opportunity to be one of your trustees for the last 8 years.
Thank you. Trustee Espinoza Jr.
I feel so guilty now after Mr. Phillips just mentioned that he feels old. You look very young. I'll just add that. So, but to Trustee Christian, thank you for your service. Thank you for the public service that you have offered and for making me and Luke feel very welcomed, very comfortable into this transition. It has been an experience, but you have made it very easy alongside with the board. Not that this is easy or anyone can do this, but that you made it enjoyable. You made it very interesting and very impactful, especially for me. So I thank you for that. And I thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your service once again. Like I said, you're very young. So you're very, very young. A young man, matter of fact. So, but thank you for your public service and just everything that you have done. Like I said, I remember just hearing about you, but hearing good things about you and just the amazing service that you've done within our community and within the schools. I remember growing up Washington Elementary to now be here serve alongside with you. It is a full circle moment and it's something that only God can write. And I just thought that it's just amazing. You only hear it from a movie. And so I want to give thanks to you and congratulations to the associate superintendents as well. You guys have made me and Trustee Wilson's job a lot more understanding, answering all of our questions. Just Congratulations and thank you once again for all the services you've done to our public.
Thank you, Trustee Espinoza Jr. That was well said. Trustee Christian, you have something?
Yes, thank you, President Smith-Folds. To the rest of the board, I've enjoyed serving with you, and it's been a journey over these 4 years, many challenges. But I look at it, it's a growing process where you continue to evolve and continue to develop. And so that Trustee Reckler and Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, President Smith Folds, you guys got it, take it from here and push it along with the other new trustees that will be coming on. And so to help them become acclimated to the board. And to the rest of everybody, to the staff and everybody, enjoy working with you and appreciate it. I'm still rooted still gonna be rooted here and taking on another role, but I know the God of heaven, has blessed me to go into another role. And I look at it where when people think, they doing harm to you, but God has a plan and you can't stop God. And, so he's the one that elevates and he would take you to another level. And through my experiences and from working at El Cerrito, I enjoyed those days. And then 2020, and here we are, 2024, about to go into 2025. And I just know that the hand of God is upon me to do some great works. And so I still will be involved in the life of the community and in the life of the people. So the journey continues to move on. May God bless you all and going through this holiday. Merry Christmas to everybody and to the whole district and to everybody. I enjoyed you, love you guys, and appreciate you. God is good. Amen.
Thank you. Clerk Gonzalez Hoy, go ahead.
Thank you, President. I want to thank you for yet another great meeting. I know it's your last full meeting as president. I just want to thank you for everything you've done, your hospitality. We're all wearing this ugly sweaters because today was supposed to be our contest on who was wearing the ugliest sweater. And I think that I'm rivaling Miss Director Forrest over there for that gift card. So we'll see who wins it at the end of tonight. But I think that there are very few people that truly understand the sacrifice and commitment that it takes to be in these positions. And I'm including cabinet and really the people who are here, our labor partners and people who watch every single meeting. We give up a lot to be in these positions and people don't truly understand. Some people think we're doing it for the money, which I find really funny every time someone says that to me. Let's put in the context. My wife's 8 months pregnant. She's a teacher. She's taking care of our 2-year-old at home. And I know that I'm missing so much for being here, right? I'm being here every 2 weeks. And I know that's the experience of all of you. I know that's the experience, Dr. Hurst, that led to potentially you deciding to retire and being with family and being healthy. And that's one of the decisions that we all have to make eventually. So I want to say that I'm actually really happy for you. I'm happy that you're going to be able to have time with your family, with your kids, with your grandkids and your friends. I feel like sometimes I talk more to you than my own wife. So we have become real close and I am going to miss you very much. Our 7:30 meetings. But I know you wake up at 4:30, so I know I can call you now, wherever you end up. But I want to thank you because whenever I see your calendar, I get stressed out. And I think I have a difficult calendar. When I see yours, I can't believe it. And I think that people don't understand, right? What do you go through every single day? I've gone now through 3 superintendents as well in different capacities, not like Trustee Phillips, but as a teacher and then as a union leader and then now in this position. And everyone is really hardworking, but what I really appreciate about you that you taught me is not allowing your values to be put aside as you do this work. And it's very easy to do sometimes to let go of that, to just please someone or just to do something that someone wants, and then putting your values aside. And I think in the last 3.5 years, I never saw you do that. Even if it meant having a harder road long term. And I just want to appreciate that about you, because through that journey of learning through you, I think I've become a better leader. So I just want to say thank you to you for that. And with that, I end my comment for the night. Anyone else that we missed? President, can I pass it back to you?
Thank you so very much. I would like the following people to please come to the front. Demetrio Gonzalez Hoy, Ms. Director Forrest, Director Wong Roberts, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Moses, Ms. Rosa, Ms. Hennessis, and Ms. Chamberlain. Please come to the front. Come on, Hennessis and Rosa, don't make me call you twice. Come on. Right here in front. Okay. Okay, listen, Linda, listen. All right. The most disturbing ugly sweater goes to Clerk Gonzalez Hoy. You're welcome. You're welcome. The ugly sweater but classy goes to Dr. Moses. Uh-huh. The clever sweater goes to Miss Wong Roberts. You're welcome. The most classic sweater goes to Dr. Johnson. The cutest sweater goes to Dr. Forrest or Director Forrest. The cutest sweater. One of the ugliest sweaters goes to Miss Rosa. The sexiest sweater goes to Miss Hennessis. And is that a sweater? Goes to Miss Chamberlain. But we have to have an overall winner. So the overall winner of the ugliest sweater contest goes to, and there is a tie. So take your shade down. There's a tie. It is the two winners are Clerk Gonzalez Hoy and Dr. Forrest. Come forward. Oh. Everyone, thank you so very much for this meeting. Our next board meeting will be on December the 18th. This is the last time I will be gaveling us out. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned at 9:52.